Hey y'all, happy Thursday. Just wanted to take a moment to share a little Thursday thought with you, and um, it really kind of comes from uh, maybe a bit of a research that I've been doing. Kind of comes on the heels of uh, some news breaking earlier this week about a young pastor who committed suicide, and I think for me, kind of hit home in some ways that maybe I'm just finally starting to be able to articulate. Maybe it's been the culmination of some study and research I've been doing around just this. It's really the word isolation. I think it's a word that we kind of throw around. It's a bit of a buzzword, but I don't. I quite honestly feel like it's a word that needs to be talked about and explored. It needs to be brought up in conversations more, because I think more now than ever we're living in a world that is truly isolating itself from one another. We live in communities where we're as close to people as we've ever been, but yet seem so far away on so many levels. And I just find that as I spend time talking with people, as I spend time encouraging people, as I spend time with friends, and as a pastor and a leader, obviously, I spend a great deal of time coaching and counseling people. I find that the most common denominator is isolation. And I know that without a doubt that the enemy wants nothing more than for us to be alone, in isolation, because when it's in isolation, he's got control and power. That's why the Bible talks so much about doing life together and being in community. And right at the very beginning, God just decided that all the work that he did was good, but there was thing that wasn't good. It was that man shouldn't be alone. He says that very clearly. And yet we still operate a lot of times alone. We could be around people and still feel alone. And just in some research that I've done, some studies, there's all kinds of different forms of isolation, from social to emotional to solitude to experiential to age isolation, even to gender isolation, and percentages of population of people that find themselves isolated based on criterias, and it just goes on and on and on. But at the root of it all is the great plan of the enemy to get us in isolation, to get us separated from one another, to call us into dark places where he can use our fears and our worries and our doubts to manipulate and alter and change and craft and scheme against us. And ultimately it leads to depression, it leads to anxiety, it leads to disappointment and frustration, it leads to opinions being formed and thoughts in our head starting to formulate, and all of a sudden we start to get angry, and we get bitter, and we get discouraged, and we get envious of people. And in some cases, unfortunately, it leads to even severe circumstances and outcomes like death and suicide, drug and alcohol addiction, pornography addiction. The list goes on and on. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't. Kind of frustrated by it. I don't want this to be a worry for me. To be honest with you, I'm worried for humanity. My heart breaks for people who find themselves isolated from humanity, from people who care and love. And I know there's a lot of bad people in the world, and so there's a lot of cases and cause for concerns to be emotionally and socially and intimately open with people, or to be around people. I get that. I just want to provide some avenues and some opportunities for those walls to be broken, and those barriers to be breached, and for those chains to be broken. And so maybe this is just a rallying cry, that if you ever or are currently operating in the season of isolation, or alone, or scared, or fearful, or you're dealing with depression or anxiety, you're doubting, or you're uncertain about life in general, would you DM me? Would you shoot me a message? Would you find somebody in your community that you could trust, or at least maybe take a step of faith and extend or reach out to and ask for help? And just know that you don't have to do life alone, that you are not created or called to live in isolation. God has a plan for you, and that plan comes to fruition and comes into existence around people and in community when you get to do life with people and you get to share your hopes and your dreams. And I know the only way to get to hopes and dreams is to overcome some demons and some darkness. But that's what Jesus does, is he allows us to overcome darkness. He allows us to see in the dark. He allows us to see what we could not normally see when he is present and when he is in the midst. And so I know this is maybe a little bit of a rant on Thursday, but it's a bit heartfelt. It's a bit emotional for me. It's serious for me. I'm serious about helping people, and people not feeling as though they have to live in isolation. They don't have to feel alone. They don't have to feel depressed or anxious. There's enough things in the world to cause that we don't need to add to it. We just need to provide and extend a hand and an open door, an open ear maybe to even just hear or listen. And if nothing else, just somebody to sit with and just to be present with. So let me just encourage you for just 10 seconds. If this is you, you're feeling isolated, you're feeling alone, you're feeling discouraged, you're feeling depressed, there's a sense of anxiety coming over you, I want to just let you know that there's a community of people here for you. C3 North Atlanta, I have friends all over the city, I have friends all over the country that would be there for you. And so if you're feeling that, I'd love you to feel the permission to reach out to me. You can DM me, you can shoot me a message if you have my contact information, and I will connect you, or I will do whatever I can to put you in position to be around people, around community, people who love you, who care for you, who want the best for you, who will be there for you in your time of need. But you do not have to live life alone. You do not have to live in isolation, and you do not have to let the enemy get the best of you. I believe that with all my heart. And I know that if you would just receive the invitation, man, the greatest days for your life are right in front of you. So thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me to vent a little bit. And I hope that you would take me up on my offer and allow me to help you and connect you and encourage you in your season and in your life. Amen.